Okay, welcome everybody to this evening's DXY Securities webinar. So tonight is live Forex market analysis. That will be coming up in a moment, but just to give you a heads up what's coming up from me this week. Tomorrow I'm going to go through risk and trade management, number one trading tool, understanding risk to reward. That's tomorrow's webinar, 7 p.m. Sydney time. Coming up on Thursday, more live Forex market review, live market analysis. That's coming up on Thursday too. So that's what's coming up from me this week. So we'll get into tonight's webinar. And before we do, if you can read through the disclaimer, those that might be on our live YouTube stream, I cannot see the chat, but you're more than welcome to join us. Just click on the link and you can join us in the webinars and chat. Other than that, you're more than welcome to just watch. Everybody else, if you have a question, just type it into the webinar chat box or the question and answer box. So everybody, please, as you're just logging on, just read through the disclaimer before we move along. All right, we'll move along. If you don't know me, I'm just looking at the names on board there. I might have a few new names. My name's Duncan Cooper, so welcome. I'm the Senior Market Strategist and Trading Mentor here at DXY Securities. And I am, if I can get my PowerPoint to work, here we go. I am a full-time Forex trader. I've been trading the market now for more than 15 years, mentoring for more than 10. If you want to contact me, my email is there on screen, duncan.cooper@acy.com. Through the week, you can connect with me on our website, find my analysis at acy.com market news tab, or you can go to our YouTube channel, DXY Securities Australia, or you can connect with me on Twitter and LinkedIn on those handles there. As well, through the week, we have our Telegram channel. To get access to that, just contact Nathan Bray. I'll put his details in the chat momentarily. As well, if you want to get access to my chartouts and templates for MT4, just contact Nathan and he will set you up with that. So I'll just put Nathan's details in the chat. So if you need help setting up a demo account or you've got questions about setting a live account, then just contact Nathan. Just trying to get my chat to work. All right, just bear with me a moment. The chat's not wanting to work. All right, there we go, everybody. So that's in the chat. So if you want to contact Nathan, his details are there. All right, so let's get into, first of all, tonight we'll get into what news events are coming out over the next couple of trading days. All right, so I'm just at forexfactory.com here. So tonight, 11 o'clock from the US, we have the S&P CS Composite 20 HPI year on year. Must be a new news release because I haven't seen that one before, but in any event, that's coming out 11 o'clock. On midnight, moving into Wednesday, we have the US CB consumer confidence and the jobs job openings. And then moving into tomorrow morning at 11:30 for the Aussie, we have their CPI data, their inflation data. So the market will be clearly watching that figure. So potentially Aussie crosses are going to be very volatile at that time as they look to that figure. Market's expecting a drop there, but you never know. All right, and then later in the day, some point in the day, we've got the German prelim CPI month-on-month coming out. No time there. 5 o'clock, we have the Euro Spanish flash CPI data coming out year on year. Later in the evening, 10:15 for the US ADP non-farm employment change. 10:30 US prelim GDP QQ. It's worth noting on Friday that we have the job figures. So things may be a little bit range bound ahead of then, but just head over to forexfactory.com, set it to your time zone, and you can quickly see what's coming out over the next couple of days so you know what's going on. All right, so tonight, 11 p.m. and 12 o'clock, we have some US news coming out. Azu, hello to you. All right, let's get into the charts and we'll get into the dollar index first of all. Continuing moving up, it's almost up to this high point on the weekly chart. There's a weekly chart here. We've actually moved above the top, coming up to the next top. In all probability, we're moving up maybe to the top of this larger range. On the monthly chart here, we have started to move above this double top area that we're maybe just, we're asking the question, were we going to hold there last week at the start? But clearly we're above that level. So we could be coming up to move above these monthly highs, and then a much more stronger level, that swing point high there, 105.87. So at the moment, the dollar is very strong. It's moved above that monthly area of resistance and potentially just having a pullback and holding slightly above. So this could be forming another higher bottom now for a continued move up in that trend. And telling me you can't see the chart, so let me just see. All right, how's that? Chart's coming in. All right, so I'm guessing you couldn't see the Forex Factory. So we'll just head back to Forex Factory for that, for a quick 1 minute recycle. So just to give you a heads up about the news that is coming out tonight. Should be able to see my screen now. Tonight, 11 o'clock, we got the S&P CS Composite 20 HPI year-on-year coming out, and then on midnight, the USCB Consumer Confidence and Jobs job openings. You can go and read through the rest at your leisure, but those are the two events coming out in the next 1 or 2 trading sessions to be aware of. And we'll just head back to the dollar index. Here we go. All right, so just from the monthly perspective, just to do another review, we've moved above these tops over the last week. Could be now targeting towards this top here at 105.87. And on the weekly chart, we've moved above this top last week, targeting the next weekly top. So weekly trend's now up. Day chart's quite clearly up here. It's all high tops and bottoms, and we've moved above the monthly level of 103.82, and we could be forming a higher bottom on top of that level. So continued uptrend there, not showing any sign of halting just yet. I guess it's worth putting a line on that weekly top, 104.668, because we could stall there. So it's worth knowing where that is, so you can understand the position of the dollar index. All right, so clear uptrend at the moment. So pairs to the US dollar should be weakening in general terms. All right. S&P 500, just getting a little bit range bound. It did come up to the 79% level and the resistance level that I talked about last week, and then dropped. But we're putting in a bottom here, which is high to that bottom. So we have a lower top, higher bottom. So just getting itself a little bit mixed as we lead into the job figures. All right. So I will still be watching, I think, up here at 44.60's resistance at the moment. And you have a lower top formed at the 79% level. So we could still be failing in this area here to further decline as we're seeing the US dollar strengthen. All right, let's get into the euro. I put out on Telegram earlier in the day this morning to watch this area up here. This is my 15-minute chart. To watch the 108.33 level, that's daily resistance. In fact, it's weekly resistance. And I also referenced up here Friday's high. Came into that area early in the day, and you can see we've been selling down from that level. So what we're really seeing on the day chart is we moved below weekly support last week, and it's now becoming resistance for potentially, are we going to have a continued week down? So it's the opposite look to the euro dollar, sorry, to the dollar index. So the euro dollar is just the upside version of what we're seeing on the dollar index. Okay, we head back to the dollar index. We've been having 2-day pullback on the dollar index, 1, 2, and today we're positive on the 2nd-day pullback. And we're just seeing the upside down version of that on the euro dollar. So I would anticipate we're heading down to further test 107.78. That's what I put out on Telegram today. 4 hour, it's a little bit mixed to up, but I think all we're doing here is testing weekly resistance to fall back down. All right, and already we've failed at weekly resistance earlier in the day. We dropped. Then we've had a 62 to 79% rally, and now we're continuing down. So if you're not already short, you probably missed the best opportunity because it was up here. So at the moment, if I was wanting to trade now, I may have to wait till tomorrow. If we trade down today, what I would do is just draw a fib across today's trading range once it's finished. So let's say price comes down to maybe today's projected low today. Then look, back up tomorrow for a rally back up to the 62 or the 79% level within the range that forms today. Or, if today further comes back up and tests the resistance level, you could obviously look up there for a sell. But selling now halfway down the range isn't the most optimal time. But seeing any kind of further move up to this area and then fail would be the best area to look, okay? In line with that day chart trend. Euro yen, now I'm just monitoring last week's range. It's a bit tricky at the moment because the weekly trend is quite clearly up. However, at the top up here, we have last week was rather indecisive, a week down and a week up. So indecisiveness, and we actually closed just below weekly resistance or support, whichever way you want to look at it, but we closed below by the end of the week. 157.99 is the clear area of support or resistance here. That's the level to watch for the week. Now, breaking down to the day chart, we moved down to a lower bottom, so are we putting in a lower top this week? That's why I'm monitoring the range of the week from the previous week. And we're at the 62% level at the moment. Are we starting to falter here? So I'm anticipating that we may be putting a week down this week. We could come up to the 79% level that you'll need to monitor, but at the moment we're kind of failing at the 62 level. Are we now starting to move down? Putting in that's the kind of weekly range I'm expecting this week. All right. Are we going to put in a lower high on for this week to a lower low this week? All right, we've already had a trigger up here to sell earlier in the day. So I would be watching at the moment the 62% level of that range. Do we further come up and fail? Does price action use that level now as resistance? Do you see some form of trend line break failure on a move back up to this level to then turn over and trade down? All right, now if we don't fail here on the next test, we could be moving up to the 79% level of the weekly range. But if we hold on a test now, you can see we came down and tested and held. So if you come up and hold once more, does it turn over? Can you get a tight entry to sell, to trade down for the week? All right, euro pound. Just monitoring this range at the moment. I wasn't able to continually break down below what is monthly support and weekly supports. So I would be watching for a move. The overall trend is down, but this would be the area to watch. We've tested this weekly level of resistance, 86.58, once, twice, 3 times up here and held. So if we could get high up, back up within the range, this trend is down, lower bottom, it's coming up maybe to put in a lower top somewhere. So I'll be watching up here, the high end of the range. Can it come up to fail? And then can you see a setup to sell? All right, so game of patience. Can it get up high up the range for further failure? You can see the failures here, once, twice, 3, 4 more failures across here, which all line up with the 79% level. That's the area to look for failure. All right, let's get into the pound. Now I put this out in Telegram today. This is my 15-minute chart at the moment. So watch daily resistance 26.20. This is the range of Friday. that we've been trading within over the last 2 trading days. So using the 79% fib to daily resistance, and you can see up at the 79% fib here, we were wanting to hold earlier in the day, and we're starting to move down now. May still come back up to have another go today at 126.20 to 126.31. So you can still watch up there in that area. That's the most optimum area to look for your sell if you're looking for a short. Now, why am I saying this is the most optimum area? Because day trading is down at the moment. Last week, Thursday, Friday, heavy sell-off Thursday, down Friday, breaking below this double bottom, potentially. And now we're using that area as resistance. So what was support is now becoming resistance. So if you can trade close to that, that's the optimum level. Are we then trading down for the week? Last week got a fraction short of 25.44. So we could be coming down and test that area to move deeper down. Edwin, you're telling me you entered around about 26.17, but then you got stopped out on that push up. Yeah, that push up was a little bit naughty around the London Open. This push up really is just coming up. You know, the big players know where the stops are. The stops are here. Those that have been shorting up there or shorting lower down, they put, you know, anybody shorting in this area have just put their stops just above here. And this move up here is just the market getting manipulated up by the bigger players to take the other side of those stop orders. So, you know, really being aggressive, you know, the optimum place really to trade today was trying to short up at the 126.31 level, stop above Friday's high. Then this kind of 3 tests of that area can't stop you out. All right. Because yes, it would be annoying if you got short at a 17 and then this rushes up and just takes your stop out just. That would be very annoying. All right. But, you know, the more you see this kind of price action occurring, maybe just, you know, getting your stop maybe at this pivot point or fractionally above, maybe in a better play. All right. But may come back up and give you another opportunity to get in to trade down for the week. Okay. All right, pound yen. All right, so let's just have a look at the weekly chart. Had an up week and then a down week last week. Trend is up, but like the euro yen, some indecision up there. And the day trend has turned to down in the short term. Lower bottom. Are we going to come up to put in a lower top here? Just a little bit above this resistance area at 184.54 on the day chart perspective. But we finished, let's go back to the weekly chart. We finished negative for the week, outside reversal week. Is that alluding to the idea that we could, let's go to the 4-hour chart, monitoring the weekly range? I would much just prefer to see at the moment, can we come high up the range and then what happens? You know, coming up to the 79% level, coming up to this area here. This high that got formed last week where we false broke and then heavily sold, that's where the sellers took control last week. So if price can come back up to the same area, there's a high chance that the sellers will come back in once more. Or at least see some selling pressure where you can get a risk out of a trade that you could take and then see how things run. All right, so at the moment, I would just be looking at the highest point on the chart that I technically could look at trading at, which would be up here, 186.02 up to 186.46, and then just see if it starts to turn over in that area. There's a bit of an imbalance in here that potentially needs to be filled. So, trying to trade, it could stop at 62 because that's where the imbalance is, but higher the level would be better because overall, this isn't a weekly uptrend. It's just showing a short-term downtrend on the daily, which of course could turn into a much larger downtrend, but it'd be nicer, higher probability and more success to sell at the moment, trying to sell high up within that range. All right, so let's get into Aussie yen, which is a little bit annoying. It's not doing much at the moment. Just monitoring last week's range at the moment. We're at the 79% level of last week's range after getting support once more on that weekly top from over here. And, from a weekly chart perspective, that's the weekly top that we're sitting on. And we've been holding at the weekly resistance up here at 95.73. Now, from a monthly perspective, we could be putting in the lower top, head and shoulder pattern up here. But in the current month, certainly for the latter end of the month, we've been rather range bound, stuck between weekly support and resistance. It isn't breaking down below weekly support at the moment. Of course, we've got the CPI data coming out tomorrow for the Aussie too. All right, now, one could say that's a higher bottom on the weekly. We've got a lower top on the weekly. So things are getting rather mixed. The daily is actually down, lower top, lower bottom. And if we could drop to the 4-hour chart and monitor the range of last week, I know factual I was lying before. I had my fib drawn from there to there because that's the day chart range, but we're having a week up this week. Just having a week up because I'm above my weekly high point here. But we're at the 79% level of this daily chart range, and this could be where we top out. Now we have the CPI data coming out tomorrow, so I wouldn't be doing anything on this pair till past that, but you can see on the 4-hour chart, this significant top, false broke over here, slightly lower top. We're at the 79% level of this range. You could monitor that whole range. And, seller's area that we're heading into at the moment is really this whole area here. So tomorrow after the CPI data, I would look in this area to see what the market wants to do. If it comes up and doesn't want to take out 94, 93, or comes up to 95 and holds, then you may well see then a reversal straight back down towards the weekly support. This is range bound at the moment. So, the range is really, top of the range is up here, bottom of the range is down here. So if we get up to the top of the range and we falter, anticipate, look for a setup to trade back down. All right, the Aussie, ahead of the CPI data, getting a little bit mixed because we're lower top, higher bottom. Bouncing on this weekly support, this day support from over here. But just squash it in. From over here where we had this very impulsive move up. So we could be putting an interim bottom in down here. We'll have to wait for the CPI data to come out tomorrow. But a clear area to watch is the area that we failed in last week from 64.58. Irrespective of the fact we're putting a higher bottom here, we still have a lower top. All right, and the longer term directional trend is down now in line with this double top. So that is the area to watch tomorrow. 64.58 to 64.90 up to 6,500. All right. If we trade above this swing point here, whilst that will turn the day chart to up, and there's a resistance level just there at 64.96. All right. If we go above that point, say tomorrow on the CPI data, all that will really do from a higher weekly chart perspective is have 1 week up. We'll just trade above last week's high. We've just had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 negative weeks, okay? So having 1 week up does not really change the bigger picture trend. We may just get above last week's high and then false break to trade all the way down for the whole week. So I wouldn't be getting too excited about any movement back up. I will be really watching for any false break movement to the upside for reversal back to the downside. So watching this area here, 64.58 to 64.90 up to maybe 6,500. Do we come up? Want to fail in that area to trade back down? That's what we're watching for tomorrow, okay? Now, of course, if the CPI data comes out really bad, that's going to mean there's no interest rate hikes maybe coming, and this will just drop. All right. So if we do get a little bit of uptick on the CPI data, we could just see price tick up to, you know, the sell zone on the chart. And then does it want to turn around? All right, getting into the New Zealand yen. New Zealand yen is getting very range bound in here at the moment. Just want to look at the weekly chart. It's a little bit like the Aussie yen. It has a lower top forming here. Could be forming another high bottom here. So we have a high bottom, lower top. This could be another high bottom here, but ultimately it is very mixed. Higher top, lower bottom, it's mixed, and the daily is not telling you anything at the moment. Lower top, higher bottom. All I can tell you is we're holding on 86.13 day support, and we're holding at weekly resistance at 87.30. So really watching the outer area of the range. If it gets back down to 86.13, that could definitely hold to trade back up. And if it comes back up to 87.30, that could definitely hold to trade back down. So that's the range. So you need to look to the outside of the range, and right now we're right in the middle. It could go either way. So that's a game of patience there on the New Zealand yen at the moment. And the pair's trading way better than that. I've shown you the pound dollar and the euro dollar today where they're failing, showing a very nice downtrend, failing at resistance. New Zealand yen at the moment is just asleep at the moment. All right, New Zealand dollar. Still in a downtrend last week. Perfectly failed at monthly resistance to trade back down to test day support 58.96. Now, from this double top, there is actually a long way to go down to the 200% marker for the double top target, 55.85. So looking for opportunities just to sell. It'd be nice because we're getting some form of support at 58.96. It'd be nice if that broke and became resistance, but at the moment, that might not occur. We may trade back up within this range here. So looking at down the 4-hour chart, this is just the range of last week. I would be looking at the high end of the range. Can we come up to the high end of the range? 79% level. Might even want to test 59.84 again, monthly resistance, but in that area up there, I would just be waiting to see if price could get back up there. That's the best area to sell at the moment. All right. Selling at the low of the whole move at the moment is not the best idea. All right. So I'll just be patient through the week. Does it come back up to 59.63, the 79% level? All right. All right, dollar CAD, still holding its uptrend. Had a nasty candle last week. Tuesday, I think it was. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, Tuesday. Or was it Wednesday? Wednesday. But still showing you high top, high bottom, another little high top there, high bottom, still in an uptrend. Now, yesterday it did come down a couple of pips short of this old resistance being support now, 135.67, and use that top there at 135.74 as support too. So we may not pull back anymore. However, I will still watch support to be support on any pullback at the moment within this pair. Are we targeting up here? There's a weekly top here. There's a weekly top here. Go to the weekly chart, 2 tops up here. That potentially could be strong resistance. And it's getting close to the 79% level up in that area from the monthly swing range. All right. So I'll be certainly watching 136.54 for potential failure. But at the moment, we've got a clear uptrend as we're heading towards that level. It's a little bit choppy in here at the moment. I would, if I was wanting to trade this pair so high up, I would simply wait for the opportunity for price. That's that last day chart high here, 135.74. So 2-day chart support levels there in this area here, 135.74 down to 135.67. And you can see where we've got support, went up, got support once more, went up. I would simply watch that area for support. If you wanted to still get along this pair at such high levels, that's your support level to look to trade up from. All right. The next, though, really level to watch is up there at 136.54, the weekly resistance level, because we could fail up there. There's a weekly double top there already. So that would be a good level to watch for a failure. All right, so back to daily. There's your support and there's your resistance. All right, so look to trade at the levels if price can come back to those levels. Can you see yourself to buy at the level or sell down from a level? Potentially when we get the job figures coming out on Friday, see this weekly level here, you've got the 79% level here, look to the left. This is a well-used area for the sellers, all right? Resistance became support in there for a while. Resistance, resistance. That probably won't just blow straight through there. It might spike up through there, but can it hold above there? If you start to see it failing up there, it's probably going to sell down like it's done before. So that's a very good level to watch for the sellers. All right, dollar franc. Holding its day chart trend, but the high time frame trends remain down. The monthly is down. We're just trading within the range of last month. The weekly trend is down. It's just coming back up within this weekly range. All right. On the day chart trend is up. It did move above that weekly resistance. Came support yesterday, it came down yesterday and sat on top of it. All right. So we could be coming up to the 62% level, which is at 88.19. 89.26 is monthly resistance, and a little bit low, you got weekly resistance at 89.01 from here. And we've discussed this before. Prices, this uptrend here is filling this imbalance area that formed down through here. All right, we filled most of it, but we could come up, especially on Friday with the job figures, to just come up and complete the imbalance before then maybe turning over. All right, don't forget where the high time frame trends are down. We consolidated, drop, form the imbalance. All right, this is just corrective against the high time frame. So we're potentially filling the imbalance. So the area to watch up here is from 89.01 to 89.26. That's where we could top out. Now, if we are going to top out, that's the area to watch for sure. To trade up at the moment, the weekly level that we moved above, 88.20. That's that line here. See that was resistance. Popped above, that candle rejected, became support, support, support. Watch 88.20 for further support this week. All right. Bit range bound at the moment, but we have popped above that level last week. See how it was range bound, range bound, range bound, popped above. Now it may well be range bound, and then pop up on the next positive US news data. And does it fail at those high levels? All right, so looking for an opportunity to get long, maybe in support for that little bit of a further move up, okay, would be, I think, the mode of operation at the moment. Dollar yen. Now, dollar yen, you know, from the monthly perspective, it's all uptrends. That was last year's move. We've had the correction. It's another higher bottom. Of course, we're into the area where the Bank of Japan can most definitely come in and participate in keeping price down, intervening. So we are at high levels, definitely, and at intervention levels. All right, if you want to squash this in, we're coming up to, you know, once we get up to 147.68, that we folks broke that high before. They, you know, being so high up at the moment, I think it's very dangerous, dollar yen, to be, you know, buying. Definitely the risk of intervention, but you'll have to work out yourself whether or not you want to be in the face of an intervention. You know, the last week's price action on the pound yen and the euro yen, where we had an outside reversal week, you know, we went up, had a fresh high for the week, and then traded down to a fresh low for the week, and finished with quite a mixed week. Is, you know, some selling pressure going on there at such high levels with the risk of intervention, you know, because the dollar yen's at this key area. All right, so the weekly trend is up. We're just trading into a weekly level of resistance right now. If you go to your weekly chart, squash it in, you'll find a weekly area just ahead of the monthly area from over here in 1997. All right, so, you know, we are into a resistance area here. That's the second weekly top to the final weekly top when we made the monthly major top. So anywhere from 146.83 to 147.68, it's about a, what is it, 17, about an 85 pip range. That's most definitely where we could get intervention, and that's where the intervention started as well here last time. All right, so I think it's, you know, cautionary approach up at such high levels. You know, a slightly lower level, this weekly high that we moved above, you know, having a clear game plan of where price is not too high, because we clearly moved above 145.06, twice offered supports. So if you're wanting to get long, it's all a question whether the market will offer this, is to look potentially for a pullback to here and then trade up. Now, if we drop to the 4-hour chart and look at the range of last week, that's last week's low, so just drag it up to the high. 79% level of that range is pretty much in line with the 145.06 level. Or I think it's 145.00 is the 79% fib. So 145.06 down to 145.00, that would be a great area to watch for support. If that came in on a pullback, you'd have a left shoulder inverse head right shoulder formation too, and you'd be buying where the buyers have been coming in, rather than buying higher up where potentially the intervention can come in. All right, so it's always a matter of being wise and where's the most opportune level to be a trader at. Well, so it's quite clear down here, so I will be watching at the moment for, you know, can the market offer that pullback to that area there. All right, getting into gold then. This is my drawings from last week. So I was discussing a pullback and quite clearly price pretty much did what I said. All right, then moving it up to the next 127 extension. So we actually pulled back 62. And well, of course, within this structure here on the 4-hour chart, we're in the profit taking phase close to the 127 extension. All right. So clearly we're heading up. Let's just go to the higher time frame at the moment. Clearly we're heading up. And this area up here was the area that I said we could be moving towards. So this is actually a weekly top, lower top. this is a potential lower bottom. And I was discussing last week for this to maybe move back up to this area, 7% fib. That's a weekly high, 1959. Looking for this to move back up within that corrective phase of this overall move down, correction, to then move down. So on the 4-hour chart, as I just said, I had the fib drawn in like so. Drop down close to 62, it's been moving up since. So I would now be watching the next range to form. In fact, there's another higher bottom here. So, you know, I would wait for this to top out and monitor the pullback for a buy. You can see a bit of support was coming in on that candle. And that candle there was support on a pullback to 1916 as a weekly level of support from memory, weekly chart. 1916 is this area from over here. All right, so at the moment, I will be watching 1916. If we do get a bit down, and I don't know where we'll be drawing the fib tool from because we need price to go up to a fresh high yet, but you know, that's quite clearly where support is starting to come in. So any pullback close to the area would be the area to watch. 1916 for support at the moment. All right, for a move up to 1959 potentially. And a bit of a corrective phase to the upside at the moment on gold, okay? All right, any questions? Let's give you a minute or two for a question or two. So of course, the big news events, just bring the news up, is on Friday, really. We've got the US job figures coming out. Next week, we have a quick squiz at the news. We have Aussie cash rate, Canadian interest rate. Not too much. What about the week after? So all right, so we get the US inflation figures coming in the middle of the month, close to. All right. So that after the US job figures, the next major event's Wednesday the 13th for the US CPI dollar coming out. Always good to know where those key data points are coming out. Current big one for the week will be on Friday. Steve, you're asking me, what factors do I consider for which time frame to draw the fib? Generally, I'm looking at what is the day chart trend, using the day chart range, but then if there's a 4-hour trend within that trend, I'll use the 4-hour range. So I'll just get my drawing tool. So we can talk about gold here, which why I'm looking at it the way I'm looking at it. The weekly perspective here at the moment is a lower top to a lower bottom, and we're coming up here. So the most immediate range that we're trading in, and it's a corrective move at the moment, is that range there. All right, on the weekly chart. So I'm looking for this potential to correct back up to. I've got weekly resistance here in the 7% fib area up here. Now the day chart at the moment, if I was using my dots for my swing points, there is the last lower tops here. I could draw a fib from that top to that bottom, but it's almost the same as using that high. So I'm just using the whole range. All right. Now, because this is corrective going up at the moment, what you're going to find is that the 4-hour chart trend is up. And the fact that I'm anticipating price to move up, to the sell zone area of the fib range. Then when I drop down the 4-hour chart, I'm monitoring the 4-hour pullbacks to trade up. All right, so I'm doing it top down. Primarily, I'm looking top down and seeing what range is price moving within overall. So it's like on the dollar Canadian. The overall range that we're moving in, the bigger picture is on the monthly chart at the moment, from that high to that low. So that's why I've got the fib drawn across that range to see where price may finish. All right. Now, if I wanted to trade up within that range, let's say I thought price was going to come up to 79% level and top out up here, then I'm then monitoring maybe the daily range for a pullback. There's the current daily range. And I could be monitoring a pullback within that range. All right, 62 level just underneath that support area that I discussed before. So hopefully that helps you. So I'm just considering first of all, what range from higher time frame perspective is price trading within. All right. Often know what I'm doing very simplistically, and that's what I showed on the New Zealand dollar. Is I'll just clear off my fib at the moment. And next month, I'm going to go through this webinar in the advanced webinars when I talk about the monthly ranges and the weekly ranges. But a lot of the time, see how this has been very negative week by week by week by week by week, is any price action in the new week is just trading within the range of the previous week. So that's why I'm monitoring the range of the previous week this week, because we'll often just trade up within the range of last week before moving further down. So on my 4-hour chart, I have these red dashed lines, last week's high to last week's low. And often I'm just monitoring the range of last week. And often what happens is price just comes up to the 62 to 79% area of last week's range, and then simply puts in the high for the week and trades down to a new low for the week, and vice versa in an uptrend, okay? So that's often what I'm doing, is just monitoring last week's range. All right, hopefully that helps. Thanks, Steve. All right, everybody, any final questions? Whether you think of a question or not, just to give you a heads up from me this week, final chat on what's coming from me. Tomorrow, I'm going to go through risk and trade management and risk to reward. All right, that's the last webinar on what I call the beginner webinar series. And then we're getting into the next week, getting into the advanced section of the webinars. And more live market analysis from me on the last day of the month, okay, Thursday. So those webinars at 7 p.m, just go to the webinar page if you want to come and join me. All right, everybody, thanks very much. Have a great trading day. Good luck for the week. If you have the time, look forward to seeing you through the week, okay? Thanks, everybody. Edwin, you're saying you sent me an email. All right, I'll get back to you over the next 24 hours. Thanks.